So today it's going to be a lower body session for Donna. It's only the third lower body session back since she's had a little bit of a break. So it's kind of low key in terms of exercise selection or even the intensity. But the key thing for us is we want to have a productive session. I won't lie, I want her to enjoy it. I want her to feel like she's making progress despite the constraints that are placed upon her. So it'll only be 3 movements. We will focus on belt squat, leg press, and then we'll use the prowler on the turf itself. So it's going to be very simple, but it's going to have good carryover not only to the rest of the week's workouts, but all of the preparation coming into those. So that's the plan, and we'll get it done. That's all I was asking about. To me, it's an ideal addition before any sort of strength-based session. What we want to do is we want to activate the central nervous system, which is basically really switch Donna on. She's very strong, but she's just came from a long car journey. So she gets out of the car, a few foam rolls, she's not going to lift as well as she would if she didn't activate her nervous system. So we look at drills that will increase rate of force development, things like box jumps or medicine ball throws or even sprints. But for today, it was the box jump. Sure. At the minute we're just warming up on the belt squat. Kind of like it's a really good tool to grease the groove, so to speak. Donna's fairly well rested when it comes to resistance training, especially squatting. So we're kind of just breaking it back into the movement. That's why we're using the belt squat. We've only had 2 sessions on it. This will be the 3rd. When we do actually get work sets, we'll be staying in the 8 rep range. So it's not about hitting a 1 rep max or anything else like that. We want to get a lot of volume in our legs. We want to use a fairly decent amount of weight, but also we're going to be looking at the tempo as well. Get some time under tension on the muscle. And the key thing with the belt squat, it's going to be very kind on her lower back. So there's no spinal compression. She doesn't have a bar on her back. And that's going to help her later in the week when she has deadlift.
Yeah.
But you can lift maximal load as well.
Hit front right.
Every set we're going to go, it's going to go about 20 kilos.
Okay.
So it's a 10 either side.
Yeah.
Do some quads. Squeeze it, come on. Squeeze. Squeeze. Squeeze it. The only thing you want to be careful of, I didn't do it, but I know it's going to happen because I've done it myself.
Yeah.
When we put more weight on, we know in the bottom, you could rest on that pin,
okay,
and you could rest weight on your hands. So it's almost like, say, doing like a box squat where you pause in the box and then drive off it.
Okay.
You don't want that. You stay tight at the bottom. By all means, come up aggressively. Body's going to stay tight.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The body language you used there was perfect. You kept your position,
Yeah.
you kept your brace. It's a fine line.
Yes.
And I want to take from 10.
Okay.
Squeeze. 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 Come on. 5. 4. 6. Do it again.
plans for leg press?
But we're going to use the band attachments today. Again, I'm always conscious of the fact that this is very early in Donna's sort of rehabilitation phase. We've had quite an intensive session on the belt squat. Using the bands, what happens is it keeps constant tension on the quads, as opposed to at the top, the tension might come off a little bit. So she doesn't need a huge amount of weight. If you have a look, we've only got the one disc. But our emphasis is we want to build as much armor or as much muscle as we possibly can onto Donna's frame, especially this far out from a competition. And this is just a novel way to go about things. But again, it's a leg press, we're not squatting. Why we want to keep that lower back fresh for when she deadlifts later in the week. As you come up, squeeze here. Squeeze there. Squeeze. That's it, keep your back flat. Squeeze. Mm-hmm. 5 more reps. 1. Push through the heels, 2. Push through the heels, 3. Push through the heels, 4. Push through the heels, 5. Hands on the handles, down, turn, and relax. Great job. Build again. Now accelerate over the leg. Accelerate, accelerate, accelerate. Release. Hands on. So I've got 3 stages. We go, we build, and then accelerate is just everything that we've got. Beautiful. A lot of sets. A lot of sets. We've got a good day's rest tomorrow before we come back, and then it's over for you. Yeah. So we're going to go to fucking town on this. Okay. I love to incorporate sleds and prowlers, which you can see there, and it's the reason why we have the turf in the gym. The key thing for me is I'm working with an athlete, not just the world's strongest woman, and that's a key thing. So she has to have 1 rep strength. Yes, she's got to have repetition strength, endurance, but to me she's an athlete. That means she can jump, she can run, she can throw, but most importantly for the type of competitions that you do, you can recover fast between the events. So they could throw 6 events at you, throw a 7th, it makes no difference. So it's very important to be fit, but fit for the specifics of the sport. And this is something that'll train. But at the same time as well, then if you can gauge that, when she's pushing the sled, there's, if you think of a squat, when you load down on a squat with a barbell, that part of the movement, the eccentric, that's what tears muscle fibers. That's what creates DOMs, which is all well and good. That's a quality that we want to chase. But at the same time, we can really stress Donna here, but she'll be able to walk just fine tomorrow. And that's important if you want to work with an athlete, with you maybe 6, 8 times a week when you're coming up close to a competition. Yeah. So that's a key thing, so that because there's no eccentric portion here, there's very little muscle damage there, so we can get a lot of work done, but it's very easy to recover from if you program it accordingly.
And we also happen to be using the one sled with the most amount of surface area in the entire gym.
Yeah, for sure.
None of the easy sleds. None of the easy sleds.
No, the biggest one.
But you want it that way, you want it to be the toughest possible thing, because we can talk about all the smart physical qualities that it gives you, but the key thing it tests is heart and mind. Because at some point, going down that turf, you don't want to push any harder.
No, it's quite emotional experience when you're getting towards the end. You just have to keep going.
Well, yeah, but you got 2 choices. You can stop it and keep going. Most people stop, but then the winner doesn't.
No.
And that's what we are. Drive. Now we need to build those steps, build them. Now accelerate. So put as much force down. Force, 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 force. Through the line. Build those steps. Just build them. Build them stronger, so I want more power. Now accelerate. Accelerate. Go for rope. Rope on the line. Good. You can record this if you want. What's it called? Leaf.
Leafer.
Oh yeah, leafer. Yeah, apologies for the fucking pronunciation. But she strikes me as being a little bit more athletically minded, a bit more well-rounded in her training.
Yeah, she does everything. She's very good.
Which is why she'll be as competitive at a lower body weight.
Yeah.
Because if she wasn't, she wouldn't be the case. Steps are strong. Strong steps. Now build them. Faster and stronger. And we accelerate. Last 10 minutes. Accelerate. Accelerate hard, drive, completely over the line. A lot of silence, it seems. Yeah. My perspective, it was a reasonable session. Like I said, probably in a few of the snippets that we filmed throughout, This is new to Donna, as in she's only just getting back into training in the build up towards Worlds. So there's nothing record breaking going to be happening. From my perspective, what I want to look at is I want to look at the application of technique, sort of the attitude and the enthusiasm. Because if you don't have it now, in reality, these are the boring exercises. These are the boring workouts. You know, they're not particularly specific to any one event or anything else like that, but it's the foundation that she needs to build. So from that perspective, it's highly impressive, because you don't meet many people that are willing to be disciplined when things aren't necessarily going your way, when the weights aren't flying how you want them or anything else like that, anytime somebody faces a little bit of adversity. So it's nice to see. But in terms of numbers or anything else like that, it was everything that we had planned. I explained that towards you at the end, but then we follow a plan, so it was always going to go to that as well.
How you feeling, Dee?
I'm feeling good. It's nice to get back to do some kind of training, like Jack just said. We can't lift all of the heavy weights just yet, but we're building the foundation so that when it comes to working for World's Strongest Woman, that I'll be able just to get cracking basically, and have, you know, everything laid out before me just to use, and off we go.